Hello, Stampin Peace friends. Welcome to my Stampin Peace studio. Today is Thursday, February 13th, also known as Galentine's Day. So happy Galentine's Day to all my Stampin' gals. I'm glad you're here or watching on replay if you're watching after this live. I hope you're having a great day. I've been feeling a little off today. I don't know, a little bit blue, kind of got a stomach thing happening, but I am here. I'm happy to be here and I am working through my day. But I did need a pick-me-up. So I pulled out my pick-me-up lipstick. It is, what is it called? Cherries in the Snow by Revlon. And coincidentally, not coincidentally, I don't know. Well, I guess coincidentally, because it is snowing a little bit here today. But I have heard over the last year or two that Cherries in the Snow from Revlon is the #1 red lipstick of all time. True or not, I don't know, but it works for a pick-me-up. In Tuesday's Facebook Live, I cased this card from my friend Vesta Streeb, and it uses the shutter fold as an element of the card to add interest, maybe step up the card, add an element of fun, that sort of thing. And with that, I made this birthday card. And then I also showed a few other samples I made using that shutter fold that I cased from Vesta's card. Today is another lesson in casing. I've chosen a totally different card. This one has been made and sent to me by my demonstrator friend Ashley Zock, Z-O-C-K, Ashley Zock from Ontario, Canada. So I'm going to flip my camera around now, and while I do that, would you please share this live demonstration or the replay if you're watching later, and we'll get started on today's project. Okay, as I said, this is the card that I'm casing, and I'm going to walk you through the steps of how I case a card. And I'm also going to make a second card, so make sure you stick around for both. I'll tell you the products I'm using first. This is the Full of Life 6x6 Designer Series paper. I used this in Tuesday's Facebook Live on those shutterfold cards. And today I've pulled out my Friends for Life bundle. This has been made to coordinate with that Full of Life Designer Series paper. So when I'm casing a card, I'm going to take this out of the clear envelope. When I'm casing a card, I'll look at maybe the card base that was used, and then I'll take note of the measurements. Sometimes I use those measurements exactly, and sometimes I alter them a little bit, as I'm doing in today's second card. The other thing I might do differently, depending on the stamp set or the dies that I'm using or the sentiment, I might change the overall shape of one or more of the elements, okay? So I've got all my pieces and parts here. I'm starting with a Coastal Cabana card base. It's an A2 size card, just like my inspiration card. I'm putting in basic white on the inside, 4 inches by 5 1/4. And just like Ashley's card, I am making a vertical card. I have to give a shout out to Ashley Zock and her mom, Lori Zock. They are both demonstrators, mother-daughter demonstrators in Ontario, Canada. And whenever they do card swaps for their team, they just go above and beyond by each sending me one of their card swaps. And it's just so nice to get that happy mail and get inspiration from people I don't see on a regular basis. And I'm happy to say I'll be traveling with them, as well as my friend Anne Granger from Ontario, Canada. We're all going to Stampin' Up! On stage next month, so I'm really looking forward to that. The next thing I do is check out the measurements, the dimensions of the pieces. So this main piece of cardstock measures, let me see here, 3.5 inches by 5.5. So I'm going to start with this piece of Designer Series paper, again from the Full of Life. Actually, I should be using my other, let me use my other cutter because that one doesn't go to 5.5 for the length. 3.5 by 5.5 DSP, and again, this is from the Full of Life DSP collection. Okay, and I'm just going to add this right down the center of my card front, like my inspiration card. On this case card, I'm actually using the very same dimensions that Ashley used on her card. The next thing I'm going to do is add this piece of Berry Burst. Don't you love this color combination of Coastal Cabana and Berry Burst? They work really well together. But as you can see, I cut it the same size. So it's 4.25 by 2 3/4 inches. And I'm going to put this down right about here. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. I'm not measuring where it is, but that looks pretty close to where hers is at. And I can change that if I want. Maybe I wanted the whole thing to be more centered. When you're casing, always know you don't have to do it exactly like your inspiration card. Take some creative liberty and change things up. I've changed the color combinations. I'm changing the products I used. And you'll see some other things happening in the second card. Again, I could change this shape if I wanted. I'm leaving it rectangular. Now she has her banner between these two pieces. So I'm going to do that next. And let me show you, if you don't have a banner punch that will cut a 2-inch banner, just cut a tiny slit about halfway between the left and right sides, and then you're just going to cut from each of those corners to that point. Oops, I was off a little bit there. My hands are super shaky this week, and it's annoying, I'll say. Taking a little more effort to do my best work, a little more effort to type up blog posts, that sort of thing. Okay, that looks pretty good, I think. But that's the trick to, you could even draw a line if you wanted. If you draw the line, I would do it on the back side. So in other words, you're going to cut a small slip in the center, okay, a little slit, and then you could draw a line on the back side from that corner to the tip of that slit, and on the same on the other side, okay? If you're drawing lines, just do it on the back side. And then I'm going to adhere this. And notice she's got her sticking out a little bit there. And I'm going to do the same. I should say, this is also from the Full of Life DSP pack. Okay, Full of Life paper pack. I just chose a different sheet of paper to use because I wanted these coordinating colors for this card. Okay, now I'm going to do a little die cutting and I'm going to do a little stamping before I adhere this. So I've already die cut this using one of the dies in the Friends for Life bundle, okay? And now I want to die cut this friend, and it will lay over the top of this Coastal Cabana background. Now you'll notice that this is super skinny. To make life easier for me, I'm going to use an adhesive sheet. And I've already cut this about the size I need. It gets very sticky, so I'll try to do it carefully here. Carefully with my shaky hands, yeah. Just gonna start at the end. And then slowly press it down, okay? It's super sticky, super sticky. And using this, when you die cut then, that die cut will perform like a sticker. It will be a sticker, I'll say. So I'm gonna grab my mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Does anybody have this cute boho blue one? I love it. It just kind of, I guess it just kind of brightens my day. The white ones are perfectly fine. I use those too, but this is the one I have sitting right beside me on at my craft table. I'm also adding some heart dies that come with that set. And as you can see, I've cut my cardstock and that adhesive layer so that I can die cut all of these at one time. Just makes my card making a little more efficient. And why not be a little efficient with my time? Because then I can have an extra bit of crafting time as well. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? An extra little bit of crafting time. Okay, so let me punch all these out. Here's my hearts, which are now stickers rather than just die cuts. And then this one, I'm going to need to use my take your pick tool with the piercing end to kind of poke these out. And there it comes out very nicely. Although I think I just, oh, here's the little dot to the eye, which is crazy small. We'll deal with that in a moment. But what I'm going to do is just very carefully pull up this adhesive backing. And on something that's very thin, very almost fragile, I'll say, it just takes a tiny bit of effort. Just be patient. Don't stress about it. Just take your time and pull up one of the edges gently. And then you'll see once you get one of those edges, it all pulls up really nicely and really easily. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put it on here. I'm going to start at one end. I don't try to lay down the entire word at the same time. I start at one end and I'm putting each letter in place as I go along. So you can see I'm kind of having to move some of those individual letters into place before I press them down, because I do want them to be centered on that background layer. Okay, now let's see what I can do with this itty bitty dot for the eye. Oh, look at that. Okay, I was able to pull off that backing. The other thing I could do is just leave the backing on and add it with a dot of glue. But I was able to do this And now I've got it right on there. Easy peasy, right? Get these out of the way. And now I want to finish putting this card together. So the last thing I need to do is add my sentiment and whatever else I want to put on this piece for a focal point. Okay. Now, before I adhere this, I am going to stamp Miss You. Let me put this back under here. I think it's easier for you to see what I'm doing on that white sheet. And so I'm kind of going to decide, do I want it to say friend miss you or miss you friend? I think I want miss you friend. So I'm going to actually, I really don't want to adhere this until I do my stamping. So I'm just going to place it right there. And I don't know, do you think I should stamp with Coastal Cabana or Berry Burst? Let's look at the whole card and you tell me what you think. I think either one would be perfectly fine. Any thoughts on which color? No thoughts? You're going to give me the option? Okay, friends, I thought Berry Burst. Thank you, Sharon. I thought surely somebody wants to shout out one or the other. So I'm placing that die cut. Oh, you're all going for Berry Burst now. Okay, so I placed that die cut where I want it, and I'm just going to tap the stamp on the edge of my ink pad. And I'm going to look over the top. And I think that will be straight. Thank you for your input. And now that I've stamped that, it looks straight, it looks good. Now I feel ready to add my die cut. And I'm just using dots of glue. Remember with glue and most adhesives, but especially the multi-purpose glue, do not overuse it, okay? Do not overuse it. A little goes a long, long way. All right, I'm going to add this to my card front with dimensionals. And then we'll add the hearts. And then I will I'll make a second card for you. And that way I'll give away 2 cards today. Amanda, happy Valentine's Day to you as well. So look at these. These peel off just like stickers. Easy peasy. I guess I didn't really plan where I'm putting these. Oh, you know what? I'm going to put this one in the middle, on the inside, just like that. And I'm thinking of these hearts like I do embellishments, okay? So I want to use 3. Typically, when we add embellishments, we're adding in odd numbers. Joan, I understand, but every time you pick up that bottle of glue, just tell yourself a dot is a lot, a dot is a lot, and just barely squeeze until it starts coming out, okay? It's one of those where you'll feel the squeeze, but nobody really sees it. You guys don't notice how hard or soft I'm squeezing, do you? You only know by the amount of glue that's coming out of the tip. Okay, real easy. All right, and there is my finished card. Isn't that pretty? And again, a lesson in casing. So here I use completely different color scheme, different designer series paper, different bundle, everything. But this just gave me the layout, the setup for the card I wanted to make. Okay, so let's do another one. And I'm going to show you a couple of different things here. Now, when I do this card, and let's see, here's my card base. I'm using shaded spruce. When you're using designer series papers that have so much variation in color, or maybe the colors from one side to the other look quite different, always kind of test them out and see, do you want more of the difference in the color, or do you want it to be more of a tone on tone or more of an ombre look, that sort of thing? Okay, I want more of this side showing, so that's why I'm going to make this side, or cut from that side. Okay, got it at the 4-inch mark, and I'm cutting. Oops, I don't want 4 inches, I want 3.5, because that's what my card said. I could make it 4, right? I could do that. But I wanted to show you this instead. Okay, so now I've got my piece that measures 3.5 by 5.5 inches. Now, I want to show you, here's an example of where I might, again, you don't have to, but this is where I might change the dimensions a little bit. And this time I am going to, because we've got almost full blotches here and almost no blotches on the other side. So instead of making it 3.5, I'm going to cut off 1/4 inch. And I made it 3.25, just to suit me. It doesn't change the layout in any way. It's just a little bit difference in the dimension. Okay. So I'll adhere this to my shaded spruce card base. And really, a quick glance, you hardly even notice the difference. But the difference only came about because I wanted to trim off a little more of that right edge that had more white than the left edge did. Not a big deal. If you notice and you want to do that, great. If you don't want to, that's okay too. Again, use that, take advantage of your creative liberties, your creative freedom. The other thing I did, because of what I am stamping and adding to the white, I decided to make these rectangles a little bit smaller. They're the same width, 4.25, but this one is 2.5 inches high rather than 2 3/4. And I did the same with the white, just cut off an additional 1/4 inch. So instead of 2 3/4 by 4 and 2.5 by 4, I did 2.5 and 2 1/4. Okay, just because I felt like it fit what I was doing a little bit better. Let me go ahead and put this down on my card front, and then I'm going to stamp on that white piece. And I'm going to show you a little trick here. So lean in close. I'm going to stamp Thinking of You in shaded spruce. Now, before I pick it up, I'm going to pick it up just very slightly and move it slightly and stamp again. And this gives me that little bit of shadow. I call it shadow stamping. Has anybody tried this? Okay, let me show you again on a piece of scrap paper. So I ink up my stamp, press it down to my paper or my cardstock, pick it up very slightly, and just scooch it over the slightest bit to get the shadow. Kind of cool, huh? Almost makes it look a little 3D. Has anybody ever tried that before? If you have never tried it or you haven't done it in a while, do it. It's just fun. That's all I can say. It's just fun. Okay, again, I'm going to cut this down to a banner. So I made that little slip in the center, and now I'm going to cut from the outer corners to that inner point. Hey, and my hands cooperated better that time. Okay, so now we'll finish putting the card together. I'm going to add my banner. I'll add my sentiments. And then I'm going to add this die cut leaf. And I didn't use an adhesive strip here just because I feel confident using my multi-purpose glue with it. And I just put a few dots right in the center. And let's see which way I want to go with this. I think I'll go like that. So there you see it. This is the card I cased or used for my inspiration, right, from my friend Ashley Zock in Ontario, Canada. I saw somebody jump on earlier. I can't remember who. Thought I saw somebody jump on from Ontario, Canada. So maybe you know Ashley Zock and her mom, Lori Zock. Or perhaps my friend Ann Granger, who's also a demonstrator there. Yeah, love those gals. Love those gals a lot. Okay, one thing I want to mention too is when you're using this designer series paper, these two banners were actually cut from the same piece of paper. I just changed where I cut them on the paper, those 2" by 4" strips. Okay, so that's how I got that pop of crushed curry in there, which I think is kind of cool. All right, my friends, what do you think? Do you feel a little bit better about casing? Notice I didn't do everything exactly the same. Okay. We could even change the shape of our rectangles to maybe circles or something like that. Remember, when you're casing, it's about getting inspiration, okay? It's about getting inspiration from something. You can case it exactly as is. You can make this exact same card if you want. Or you can change up the elements of the card. You can even change up some of the dimensions. And again, you could even change up shapes, okay? Are there any questions about anything you saw today in this demonstration? Donna, do try out the layout. It's fun, it's easy. Sharon, yes. Doris, yes. We love casing. Some people would often say, oh, I'm stealing somebody else's idea. You're not stealing. If it's out there in internet world, it is there for you to use, to be inspired by. And to embrace those creative ideas, okay? That's what casing is all about. So feel good about it. And the person you're casing from, people will often ask me, you know, they'll see a card of mine out there in internet land, and they'll say, I'd like to case if that's okay with you. And I always say, please do, case away. I consider that a huge compliment, that somebody would enjoy my creative project or enjoy my work so much that they would like to do something with that inspiration. That's a huge compliment. So thank you. Awesome, Maggie. I'm glad to hear that. Okay, if you would like to have your name put into the drawing to receive one of these cards, please type in the comments now. Oh, let's see. Let's do miss you. Miss you. All right. And just a quick reminder, the name of the designer series paper pack is Full of Life, and the name of the bundle I used is Friends for Life. Has a lot of great dies to go with it as well. So Full of Life DSP and Friends for Life bundle. All right, everyone, thank you so much for joining me. I have not been feeling well since, gosh, the middle of the night. It took a lot for me to get down here and get going on this today, but I'm so glad I did. I knew that I would feel better after I've shared and connected with all of you, so thank you. Tony, congratulations on another new grandbaby. How very exciting. Oh, I bet he is cute, and so glad he and his mama are doing well. Okay, everybody, I will be posting this to YouTube and stampinpeace.com in the next day or so. I'll be working on this right away, and hopefully we'll finish it today or tomorrow. And then I'm going to spend the week in Cincinnati with my daughter, Emily. So looking forward to that. I see Andrea and John and Riley and my sister's family here a lot because we all live so close together, but Emily's a couple hours away. So I'm excited to visit her and have some nice, fun one-on-one time with Emily. Have a great weekend, everybody. And I look forward to seeing you next week on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time and Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Bye-bye.